संसारदवानललिढलोका प्राणाय कारुण्यघनाघनात्वम् प्राप्तस्य कल्याणगुणर्नवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् महाप्रभो कीर्तननृत्यगीता वादित्रमाद्यान्मनसोरसेना वादित्रमाद्यान्मनसोरसेना रोमाञ्चकं पाशतरङ्गबाजो वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् श्रीविग्रहारा नननित्यनाना शृङ्गारतन्मन्दिरमर्जनादो युक्तस्य भक्तां शनियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् चतुर्विधा श्रीभगवत्प्रसाद स्वाद्वन्नतृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्घान् कृत्वैव तृप्तिं भजता सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपार माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनाम्ना प्रतिक्षणास्वादनलोलुपस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् निकुञ्जयुनो रतिकेलिसिद्धै यायालिभिर्युक्तिरपेक्षणीया तत्रादिदाक्षादतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् साक्षात् दीक्षाधरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रैरुक्तस्तथा भाव्यतैव सद्भिः किन्तु प्रभोर्यः प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादान्न गति कुतोऽपि यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादात् न गति कुतोऽपि ध्यायन् सुवांसस्य यशस्त्रीसान्ध्यां वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् 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 नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की स्कॉन ब्यूटी फाउंडर आचार्य जगत गुरु सेवियर ऑफ द होल वर्ल्ड श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की व्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माई यमुना माई की भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की कलियुग पावन श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya, Namaste Narasimhaya, Prahladaladaine, Hiranyakashipurvakraha, Shilatankanakalaye, Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha, यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा बहिर्नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपते तव करकमलवरे नाकाम् अद्भुतशृङ्गां दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गां केशवदिता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे अद्भुतसिंहा दरिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गां केशवदी जय जगदीश हरे केशवदीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल भक्त विघ्न विनाशक लक्ष्मी नरसिंह भगवान की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः
राधा कृष्ण सेवा पाबो यही अभिलाषी राधा कृष्ण सेवा पाबो यही अभिलाषी जे তোমার শরণ লয় তার বংশ পূর্ণ হয় কৃপা করে করো তারে বৃন্দাবনবাসী মোরা এই বিলাস বিলাস কুঞ্জ দিও আজ। নয়নে হেরিব সদা যুগল রূপরাশি এই নিবেদন দ্বার সখীর অনুগত করো এই নিবেদন দ্বার সখীর অনুগত করো সেবাদি করো দিয়ে করো নিজ দাসী दीन कृष्ण दास कोई न मोर होय श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदा न बासी श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदा न बासी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Bhakti Devi Jaya Bhakti Devi Jaya Bhakti Devi Jaya Bhakti Devi Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Shri Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Prati Devi Satyavartai Namo Namaha Shri Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Prati Devi Satyavartai Namo Namaha Shri Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prati Devi Satyavartai Namo Namaha Shri Vrinda Devi Tulsi Maharani Ki
Thus within my vision I shall always behold the beautiful pastime of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of Kara Danso's Vraja. Please give me the praise devotional service and make me your own maidservant. This very fallen lowly servant of Krishna praise. May I always swim in the love Shri Radha and Govinda. Srimati Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. There are 10 fences in the matter of chanting holy names that should be avoided, and they are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for the propagation of holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the name of the demigods, the Lord of Shiva, Brahma, to be equal to independent name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the order of a spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or to teach a pursuance of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities and strengths of chanting holy name. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritual activities, offering the Veda the fruited activities, karma, kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glory of the holy name. 10. To not a complete faith in the chanting holy names, and to maintain material attachments in your understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to Vaishnava must carefully guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve desired success. Krishna, Prema. Now let us offer most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just as high trees who can fulfill to everyone. They are full of compassion, fallen, conditioned souls. Shri Chaitanya Darpanamarjanam Pavamahatavagni Nirvapanam Shriya Kairavachantrika Vitaranam Vidyavatu Jivanam Anandam Pudivardhanam Pratipatam Purunarmita Sadhanam Sarvatmasnapanam Paravijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti Tatra Pita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Etadishi Tava Kripa Bhagavam Mamapi Durudevami Disham Yaha Janina Nurakaha Trinatapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manatena Kirtanya Sata Harihi Na Thanam Na Janam Na Sundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Jammani Jammanishware Bhavata Bhaktirahaitu Kitvai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Pavam Buddha Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Stitaduri Satesham Vichintaya Nayanam Galadashuru Daraya Vatanam Katkata Rudaya Gira Purakai Nichitam Vapurukata Tava Nama Grahane Bhavishati Yuga Itam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravisha Itam Shunya Itam Jaga Sarvam Govinda Virahe Name Ashri Shava Padaratam Pinnastumam Adarshanam Marmahatam Karotuva Yatha Tatha Va Vitatatu Lampato Matprananatastu Sa Eva Na Paraha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam Ki Jai. Glory to Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes fire of conditional life or repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity in the large because it spreads the rays of benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which always anxious. Oh my Lord, your holy name alone grants all benediction human beings. Thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have vested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, out of kindness enable us to easily approach you by holy names. But I'm so unfortunate, I have no attraction for them. One should chant holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking himself lower than his joy in the street. One should be more taller than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want to cause his devotion service, birth after birth. O Sahamarjananda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean death, and place me under one Adam to a lotus feet. While my eyes be decorated with tears, love flowing constant when I chant the holy name. While my voice choke up, and when my hairs on my body stand on end at the recitation of holy name. O Govinda, feeling our separation and considering moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes are torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so even handled roughly by his embrace. All makes me broken heart but not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord. Unconditionally, Shri Chaitanya Siksastakam Ki Jai. Shri Guru Pranama prayers Ki Jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshum Litam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gata Mahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Karo Shita Padakamalam Shri Kurum Vaishnavamshta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pachadadesha Tarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Dinamine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripaptaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhavin Namaha Madhuryochara Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktita Shri Gaura Karna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostate Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarini Rupanuga Viruta Pasiddhanta Dvanta Harini Namo Gaura Kisharaya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipalambara Sambodhe Padam Pujayate Namaha Namo Bhaktivinodaya Sachidananda Namini Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumistanya Deshta Sajana Priya Vaishnava Savabhama Shri Jaganathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpaturibhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakham Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinapanto Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Jayatam Swato Pangor Mamamanda Madirgati Matsarasva Padambo Jurhata Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindarana Kaupadi Madaha Shimadrana Kara Singhasanasto Shimadratha Shila Govinda Devo Krishnari Sevimano Smarami Shiman Rasa Rasarampi Vamsivata Tatastita Karshan Vinu Saner Gopir Gopinatha Shayyestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurandi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Shri Guru Pranama prayers ki jai. Shri Brahma Samhita ki jai. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Chintamani Prakara Satma Sukhapaviksha Laksharviteshu Suravira Pipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shatatam Brahma Sevimanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venam Konantam Aravinda Dalaya Daksham Parharvatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandakala Savanamari Vamsi Ranam Gadam Pranayakeli Kalavilasam Shamam Tipangala Vidam Yata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vittimanti Pasyanti Panti Karayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujala Vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Achyutam Anadi Mananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedesha Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastu Koti Shatavatsara Sampragamyo Vayuratapi Manaso Munipangavanan Sopyasti Yat Prapadasimya Vichintyatatve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopya Sorajaitum Jagadanta Kotim Yachakti Rasti Jagadanta Jayananta Antantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Bhava Bhavita Diyo Manujastateva Samprapya Rupa Mahimasana Yana Bhusa Suktaryameva Nigama Patitashtuvanti Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasat Pratibhavitabi Tabirya Evincha Rupataya Kalavi Goloka eva nivasata kilatma bhuto Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Vachami Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hidayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Vachami Rama Murti Shukalani Mentistan Nana Avatara Makaro Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhava Paramapumam Yogo Vindamadi Purusham Tamaham Vachami. I worship Govinda. I'm sorry.
Krishna, who is known as Govinda.
Primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desires in what was built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or gopis. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock feather, and the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Shamsundar is eternally manifest. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha, yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis, who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahma by the process of elimination of the mundane extending over thousands of millions of years. He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore. I adore the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra suktas told by the Vedas, by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities, in the company of her confidants Sakis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever-blissful spiritual rasa. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shamsundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts, with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna, and the different avatars in the world, in the forms of Rama, Nishinga, Vamana, etc., as a subjective portion. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi Haribol. Glorification of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1. Janmadasayatana Vyaditarataschalte Sovikya Swarat. Tene Brahma Hidaya Adikavaye Muyanti Yat Suryaha. Tejo varimidam yata vinimayo yatra chisargomisha. Damna swena sadani rastakuhakam pat satyam param dhimahi. O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original being, living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen on fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of material nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. Therefore, I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.2 Dharma Pujita Kaitra Vocha Mirnapsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu Shividam Tapo Trayan Milan Srimad Bhagavate Mahamani Krite Kimbapurir Ishvara Sadyo Hidi Avarudyate Cha Kriti Bihi Sususibistaksanat. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from the illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in its maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Digama kaputaro kalitam phalam sukamakat amrita dravya samyatam pibata bhagavatam rasam alayam muhur ahoraska bhuvibhavakaha. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of the Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi Haribo Haribo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Guruvani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Vaskati Devatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam, Grantaraj Ki Jai. Canto 3, Chapter 9, Verse number 20. We did 19 yesterday. We did 18 yesterday. Okay, we'll do 19. Tiryan Manusya Vibhudadi Sujiva Yonisu Atmechayatma Krita Setu Paripsaya Ya Reme Nirasta Vishayopi Avarudra Dehas Tasmai Namo Bhagavate Purushottamaya. Tiryak. Animals lower than human beings. Manusya. Human beings, etc. Vibhuda Adisu. amongst the demigods, Jiva Yonisu, in different species of life, Atma, self, Ichaya, by the will, Atmakrita, self-created, Setu, obligations, Paripsaya, desiring to preserve, Ya, who, Reme, performing transcendental pastimes, Nirasta, not being affected, Vishaya, material contamination, Api, certainly, Avarudha, manifested, Deha, transcendental body, Chansmai, Tasmai, unto him, Nama, my obeisances, Bhagavate, unto the personality of Godhead, Purushottamaya, the primeval Lord. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O my Lord, by your own will, you appear in the various species of living entities, among animals lower than human beings, as well as among the demigods, to perform your transcendental pastimes. You are not affected by material contamination. You come just to fulfill the obligations of your own principles of religion, and therefore, O Supreme Personality, I offer my obeisances unto you for manifesting such different forms. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Who wants to read? Somebody? Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Purport by Prabhupada. The Lord's incarnations in different species of life are all transcendental. He appears as a human being in his incarnation of Krishna, Rama, etc. But he is not a human being. Anyone who mistakes him for an ordinary human being is certainly not very intelligent, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.11. Avi jananti mam muda manishya thanam
Anusim.
manishyam thanam astiram.
Asritam.
Ashritam. The same principle is applicable when he appears as the hog or fish incarnation. They are transcendental forms of the Lord and are manifested under certain necessities of His own pleasure and pastimes. Such manifestations of the transcendental forms of the Lord are accepted by Him mostly to enliven His devotees. All His incarnations are manifested manifested whenever there is a need to deliver His devotees and maintain His own principles.
Very good. So read the verse again. Oh my Lord.
O my Lord, by your own will, you appear in the various species of living entities, among animals lower than human beings as well as among the demigods. To perform your transcendental pastimes, you are not affected by material contamination. You come just to fulfill the obligations of your own principles of religion. And therefore, O Supreme Personality, I offer my obeisances unto you for manifesting such different forms.
Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we see these are prayers of Brahma so that he can get the favor of Krishna, and Krishna will reveal to him how he can perform the cosmic creation. And but in this verse, it's very clear that Krishna has obligations. What is that? To maintain the principles of religion. And Therefore, he comes periodically whenever there's you would call a deterioration of these principles. This is explained in the fourth chapter, Bhagavad Gita, where it says, Imam vivasvate yogam proktavam aham avyayam vivaswan manave praha manur ikswakave bhavit. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivaswan, and Vivaswan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikswaku. Evam parampara praptam imam raja sayo vidu sakalina hamahata yoganasta parantavam. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. So, in a situation like that, where the parampara has been broken, Krishna comes, or he sends his representatives to reestablish the principles of religion, annihilate the demons, and protect the devotees. Okay. And then it says, Savevayam mayate dya yogam prokta puratana bhaktosi me sakache tirasam hitad uttamam. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you. Krishna is talking to Arjuna. Because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So, these are very important verses in Bhagavad Gita, and explains Krishna has obligations also, just like this purport is saying. And those obligations are to maintain principles of religion, protect his devotees, and, when necessary, annihilate the demons. Okay, so there's another and very important point I wanted to go over. That is the 8th chapter, 14th verse, which says, Ananya cheta satatam yomam smarati nitya saha tashiham surlabha parta nitya yuktasya yogina. Very important verse, 8:14. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Prita, Arjuna, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. Now this has very important and profound purport, so let's read it. Who would like to read? By the way, Shalagram Prabhu, did you bring the screwdriver? Huh? Oh, you forgot. Okay. Yeah, because this one also is without a screwdriver, we're in big trouble. Okay. Huh? Okay, go ahead. Who's going to read?
Balaji.
Read slowly and loudly.
This verse especially describes the final destination attained by the unalloyed devotees who serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhakti Yoga. Previous verses have mentioned 4 different kinds of devotees: the distressed, the inquisitive, those who seek material gain, and the speculative philosophers. Different processes of liberation have also been described: Karma Yoga, Gnana Yoga, and Hatha Yoga. The principles of these yoga systems have some bhakti added, but this verse particularly mentions pure Bhakti Yoga, without any mixture of Gnana, Karma, or Hatha, as indicated by the word Ananya Cheta. In pure Bhakti Yoga, the devotee desires nothing but Krishna. A pure devotee does not desire promotion to heavenly planets, nor does he seek oneness with the Brahmajyoti, or salvation or liberation from material entanglement. A pure devotee does not desire anything. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pure devotee is called Niskama, which means he has no desire for self interest. Perfect peace belongs to him alone, not to them who strive for personal gain.
Okay, so that is like law of nature. By the way, that's what I was trying to remember. That's the next panel. It's the laws of nature or the laws of God. Yeah. So this is a big subject, the laws of nature. Most people don't have any inkling about it, and it's sad because being ignorant of the laws of nature, which you cannot overcome, people are very much in the mode of ignorance, and they're trying to do things that are impossible to achieve. And they get frustrated, they get angry, they become self destructive and destructive in general to others. All because they don't understand the laws of material nature. The laws of material nature are the laws of Krishna. He has established them. Therefore, it's impossible to overcome them. For example, birth, old age, disease, death. It's impossible to overcome. It's going to happen to all of us. But yet, people merrily go along thinking, oh, well, we'll find a solution to this through nanotechnology or through cryonics or through this or through that. All nonsense theories that have no way of being successful. But yet people spend millions and billions of dollars, just like Google has spent over $1 billion on their company called Calico to solve the riddle of death. And it has two purposes. One is to extend human life's duration and eventually conquer the death. Both things are impossible to do. Both things. The easier thing would be, okay, you take supplements, you do this, you do that, in order to live longer. But most people, almost everybody's going to die before they're 100 years old, and then a few can live to be 100 or 105 or 10. But that's about it, you see. So these are impossible things to overcome, that they're claiming that they're going to overcome them, and they're spending billions of dollars to do it. It's a waste of time and money. Just like going to the moon, going to Mars. Waste of money and time and energy. It's impossible to achieve. Yet, they are promising you that they can achieve it. All these things are misleading. They're false hopes. And look this up in the dictionary. Hope against hope. It's an English phrase. Hope against hope. Hope against hope means you have one hope, it fails. You come up with another hope, that also fails. You come up with another hope, that also fails. What's it say?
Cling to a mere possibility.
What?
Cling.
What?
Cling. C-L-I-N-G. Cling or clinch. C-L-I-N-G.
Clinging.
To a mere possibility.
What?
To a mere possibility.
Clinging to a mere possibility, which means basically clinging to nothing, right? A mere possibility. That's a hope against hope. You hope that you can prolong people's lives, and you hope that you will solve the riddle of death. Both are impossible. You have some very, very limited, let's say, success in uh, prolonging the lifespan of a person. It's not going to go past 100 or 105 or 110. That's it. Right? It's usually most people don't even get to 100. They hardly even get to 70 or 80. So we see these are these are ignorance manifested in a gross manner because people are not taking the time to understand what are the laws of nature. If you understand what the laws of nature are, you know we would learn our limits and therefore not engage in activities that are impossible to achieve or the hope against hope syndrome and just engage in those things that are achievable, such as becoming liberated from the cycle of birth and death through becoming fully Krishna conscious. Okay, so let's continue reading this purport. This purport, what you just read, is a law of nature. It says,
Whereas a Jnana Yogi, Karma Yogi, or Hatha Yogi has his own selfish interests.
well, wait a minute. The law of nature is, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pure devotee is called Niskama, which means he has no desire for self-interest. Perfect peace belongs to him alone, not to them who strive for personal gain. Not to them that strive for personal gain. This is mentioned in other places in the Bhagavad Gita. So, should we give up trying to have personal gain? No. Prabhupada clearly says, if you're able to work and make money, you shouldn't say, oh, well, I don't want to make any money. I'll just stop doing this. No, because if you make money, you can use it in Krishna's service. So you shouldn't give up trying to earn an honest living. And if you're very astute at doing it, you might be able to gain thousands of dollars every day or $1 million every day. There are people that make $1 million every day in profit. The question is, what do you do with the profit? If you use it all in Krishna's service, like Parikshit Maharaj, like Dhruva Maharaj, like Prahlad Maharaj, they were very, very wealthy, but they used everything in the service of the Lord. You go back to Godhead. But if you say, 1 for Krishna, 2 for me, 2 for Krishna, 4 for me, 4 for Krishna, 8 for me, 8 for Krishna, 16 for me. If you calculate like that, you're going to stay in the material world. It should be everything for Krishna. Now, does that mean you starve to death? No. You have to decide, let's say you're married, you have to decide with your husband or wife, what is your minimal needs? And that can be different for everybody. But once you establish that minimal needs, then you hold on to that and you use everything in excess in the service of the Lord. Okay. So this is the law of nature. It says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pure devotee is called Niskama, which means he has no desire for self-interest. Perfect peace belongs to him alone, not to them that strive for personal gain. Go ahead.
Whereas a Jnana Yogi, Karma Yogi, or Hatha Yogi has his own selfish interests. A perfect devotee has no desire other than to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
What? Other than to?
Please
Please.
the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Lord says that for anyone who is unflinchingly devoted to Him, He is easy to attain.
Easy to obtain. Something that's impossible for the mass of people becomes easy because the devotee has no desire for personal, as they say in English, aggrandizement. That's a big word. Aggrandizement. Look it up. Aggrandizement. Very important word. don't want to be an aggrandizer. What's it mean?
The act of increasing the wealth or prestige or power or scope of something.
Yeah. Read it again.
The act of
The act of
increasing the wealth or prestige or power or scope of something.
So this is most people. This is what they're working for, to increase their wealth, their prestige, their status in society, etc. But the devotee is working to please Krishna through the instructions of bona fide gurus. There's a world of difference between those two values or those two goals. The devotee will go back to Godhead, and the aggrandizers, they stay in the material world to suffer repeated birth and death. This is a law of nature. This is a law established by Krishna. If we understand these laws, then we become knowledgeable and we won't violate them. It's just like an Indian who comes to America, rents a Hertz car at the airport, and drives on the left side of the street. Policeman comes and says, "Hey, what are you doing? Stop. I'm going to give you a ticket." He said, "Officer, what's wrong? I didn't do anything wrong." He said, "Yes, you did. You're driving on the wrong side of the street." He said, "No, I'm not driving on the wrong side of the street. We Indians, we drive on this side of the street." "Yes, but this is not India. This is the United States, and we drive on the other side of the street." So ignorance is not an excuse. Ignorance is not an excuse. If you're ignorant, that's your fault. Krishna is going through many steps to eliminate that ignorance. He spoke Bhagavad Gita. He sends his devotees. He comes himself. And if you stay ignorant, it's your own fault. It's our own fault. There's no reason to be ignorant when Prabhupada has written all these literatures and devotees are disseminating them all over the world, and there's so many temples now. To remain ignorant there's no excuse for it anymore. The only excuse is someone is lazy or someone has these weaknesses of heart. We studied that previously. The first weakness of heart is to dominate. And by the desire to dominate, we give up engaging in devotional service and spend all our time trying to dominate. And as we dominate, we have a little success at it. We start to accomplish different successes. I got a house, I got a car, I got a 401k, I got this, I got that. And the more one gets through domination, the more one becomes attached to those things, then they're lost. Those are the two weaknesses of the heart. They're lost. They're not going to give up. Dominating and accumulating and holding on to those things as if their real life is based on that. But if you intelligently plan your life to offer, to live a minimalist life, and to offer everything extra that you get in the service of Krishna, then you're on the fast track to go back to Godhead. Go ahead.
A pure devotee always engages in devotional service to Krishna in one of his various personal features. Krishna has various plenary expansions and incarnation such as Rama and Narasimha, and a devotee can choose to fix his mind in loving service to any of these transcendental forms of the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee meets with none of the problems that plague the practitioners of other yogas.
That plague, Plague.
Plague.
Okay, so the practitioner, devotee who's sincere about serving Krishna, he doesn't experience the plagues that the non-devotees experience. Right? He's free of it because he's protected by the Lord. He's given knowledge by the Lord to make the right decisions. This is real knowledge. This is real philosophy. This is real life, as opposed to this phony life where people are addicted to sense gratification and they're just in trouble all the time because of it. You look at all these big men and women who were exploiting others for sex and for money and so many things. They've all been caught and they've all been punished. Some of them committed suicide. Some of them are in jail for the rest of their life. Does it make sense to do these things? Look at Al Qaeda and ISIS. They were kidnapping Kurdish women, putting them in sex slavery, selling them for $25 from one to another. Look what happened to them. Their whole thing fell apart. Many of those people who were doing that, they were killed. So you see, you cannot get away with violation of the rules or violation of the laws of nature. It's impossible. But people are trying, and that's their ignorance. Go ahead.
Bhakti Yoga is very simple and pure and easy to perform. One can begin simply by chanting Hare Krishna. The Lord is merciful to all, but as we have already explained, He is especially inclined toward those who always serve Him without deviation.
Without deviation, that means 24 hours a day, 365 days, 366 days on the leap year, etc., etc. Go ahead.
The Lord helps such devotees in various ways. As stated in the Vedas, Katha Upanishad 1.2.23, Yam yevaisa vrunute tena labhyas tasyaisa atma vivrunute tanum swam. One who is fully surrendered and engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord can understand the Supreme Lord as He is. And as stated in Bhagavad Gita 10.10, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, the Lord gives such a devotee sufficient intelligence so that ultimately the devotee can attain Him in His spiritual kingdom.
So you see Krishna go way out of his way to help the devotee. He'll do everything possible to help the devotee. This is real knowledge. This is what we should be focusing on in our whole life. Or as it says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya mam abhijananti yavanyas chasmi tatpata tato mam tato gyatva vishite tad anantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. This should be our goal in life. This should be the goal of all our kids. They should learn about this. They should learn what are the laws of material nature, just like they're trying to learn, about laws of physics, laws of mathematics, right? But the most important laws that we should learn are the laws of Dharma, or the laws of nature, or laws given by Krishna. Those are the most important. That's going to be the next panel. Right? And it's very, let's say, very complete knowledge for success in life. Everybody wants to be successful, but you're trying to be successful in the wrong way, and they're failing. Success in life is being able to remember Krishna at the moment of death and going back to Godhead. That's real success. Success in life is not, just like many people boast, oh, I had so much sex, and I partied like anything, and I've seen so many movies, and I've taken so many vacations, and I have a nice cars. I don't have one car. I got 10 cars. And I have different properties. One in New York, one in the Caribbean islands, and one here and one there. I have this, I have that. That's all zero. A moment of death, you lose all of that. And now all you have is all the bad karma you performed. And all the suffering you're going to have. Right? If you don't suffer in this life, see, it's better to suffer when we're living. That means after you die, your karma has become clean. If you go through life and don't suffer for the mistakes you've made, then it's worse after death. It's better to suffer in this lifetime and clear your karmas. Right? But that's another subject. We'll talk about that another time. Okay, go ahead, finish.
The special qualification of the pure devotee is that he is always thinking of Krishna without deviation and without considering the time or place. There should be no impediments. He should be able to carry out his service anywhere and at any time. Some say that the devotee should remain in holy places like Vrindavana or some holy town where the Lord lived. But a pure devotee can live anywhere and create the atmosphere of Vrindavana by his devotional service. It was Sri Advaita who told Lord Chaitanya, "Wherever you are, O Lord, there is Vrindavana."
So, years ago, this property had a broken down house, and it used to be like they used to keep sheep, right? I mean, you could drive by 1,000 times, you just look and you see, oh, that place is, zero. Now look at it. It's a tirtha. People come here for spiritual advancement, and they're learning about Krishna, and they're dancing and chanting. How did this happen? You see? When you have devotees, they can make even the worst place the best place. They can even make hell into Vaikuntha. You see? This place was hell, right, years ago. Now it's Vaikuntha. So wherever there are devotees, they can transform that place into a transcendental Vaikuntha. Good.
As indicated by the words Satatam and Nityasaha, which means always, regularly, or every day, a pure devotee constantly remembers Krishna and meditates upon him. These are qualifications of the pure devotee for whom the Lord is most easily attainable. Bhakti Yoga is a system that the Gita recommends above all others. Generally, the Bhakti Yogis are engaged in 5 different ways. Shanta Bhakta, engaged in devotional service in neutrality. Second, Dasya Bhakta, engaged in devotional service as servant.
Okay, I'll read. Sakya Bhakta, engaged in as friend. Vatsalya Bhakta, engaged as parent. And Madhurya Bhakta, engaged as conjugal lover of the Supreme Lord. In any of these ways, the pure devotee is always constantly engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Personality or the Supreme Lord, and cannot forget the Supreme Lord, and so for him, the Lord is easily attained. A pure devotee cannot forget the Supreme Lord for a moment, and similarly, the Supreme Lord cannot forget his pure devotee for a moment. This is the great blessing of the Krishna consciousness process of chanting the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Just learn this one purport. Just learn this one purport. You have the quintessential knowledge of Krishna consciousness in this one purport. So we'll stop right there. Are there any questions? This is real knowledge. This is real Krishna consciousness. And see how Prabhupada can summarize this in 1 or 2 pages so that you have all the secrets how you can go back to Godhead in this lifetime. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Okay, no questions. We will stop right there. Hari Bol. Thank you. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. That's our motto. Don't get caught in hope, hope, hope after hope, hope against hope. Yeah, hope against. Don't get caught in that vicious cycle. Sure. Yeah. What? Oh, good. We'll see. The last visit, wow, wiped me out. Let's see.